All right. Well, there are a couple things I want to talk about. One in particular, since you're here, I think you might have some insight onto a little bit of insight on the machinations of the voice acting world. There was a controversy that popped up earlier in the week revolving Bayonetta. So, a tense pay dispute overshadows Nintendo's upcoming Bayonetta 3. The former star of the Bayonetta series reignited an industry debate over fair compensation. Let's just hear the words from the voice actor herself.
Is that Bayonetta?
It is.
The Bayonetta?
It is the one and only Bayonetta.
Hey.
Well,
Maybe
not anymore.
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
Hello, my name's Hellena Taylor, and I am the voice of Bayonetta, and I would like to explain to you why I didn't voice Bayonetta 3. The Bayonetta franchise made an approximated $450 million. That's not including merchandise. As an actor, I trained for a total of 7.5 years. 3 years at the London Academy of Music and Dramatic Art, LAMDA, with voice coach Barbara Barkery, and 4.5 years with the legendary Larry Moss in Los Angeles. And what did they think this was worth? What did they offer to pay me? The final offer to do the whole game as a buyout, a flat rate, was $4,000. This is an insult to me.
Wow.
What do you? No, there have been updates, but I want to just get your reaction to that. Besides the boisterous laughter.
I mean, it's hilarious. I mean, it's so sad. It's.
I think a lot of people don't really know. They don't, because like a lot of people don't know what value to attach to something like voice acting. Like they don't know. Like somebody will hear like $4,000 and be like, "Oh, that doesn't sound bad." And
well, no,
people don't really.
Sounds bad when she says the first thing about
the money that it
all
makes.
The games.
Yeah,
you know, it's
absolutely.
Like $450 million. She's the voice of the fucking character. You know what I mean? It's like every word that comes out of that character's mouth, she's said. You know what I mean? And it's like she's an integral part of the way, and it's like, you know, but it's also very. I mean, like I want to say I made more. So for those who don't know, I'm not right now, but I was the voice of the guide in all Total Wine commercials. So on the radio and on TV. And I did one series of commercials, just one commercial, but I did a bunch of tags for these different stores. Yeah. And I think I made $6,000 just on a series of regional Total Wine commercials. So that gives you any idea of how fucking ridiculous $4,000 is to voice a major character
in a major franchise,
major AAA title that's grossed, you know, north of $450,000, $1 million. It's utterly laughable. And the thing is there's some dude that works at that game company that's like, but she's replaceable. We can get someone to do it.
Well, that's definitely a attitude that lives in the game industry. But we'll get to the update after, because like there is an update.
I didn't want the world. I didn't ask for too much. I was just asking for a decent, dignified living wage. What they did was legal, but it was immoral.
Okay. Words from the actor herself.
I wouldn't have even made that argument, because I don't think that has anything to do with the living wage. I think it's all to do with how much money the game actually makes and her role in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like one of the arguments that, you know, because obviously when a story like this comes out, whenever, or even if whether it involves, well, yes, whenever, but like whether it's a voice actor or an athlete or anybody that, you know, is in the entertainment industry that makes some kind of a stink about how much they get paid, there's always going to be a not insignificant number of people that are going to be like, oh, just shut up and get to work, and that's a good amount of blah blah blah. There's like always
That's
that
more
kind
than
of
I make.
yeah. There's always
and what, are you better than me? It's like
it's like with this pampered person, all you're doing is speaking into a microphone for a couple hours, and you make thousands of dollars. Blah 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 blah. Like there's always that kind of a pushback,
yeah, for sure.
And particularly with respects to how voice actors and whatnot in the game industry go. One of the arguments, or I guess analogies, that I would make to try to get people to understand the, I guess, strategy, for lack of a better word, behind this sort of thing, is similar to how I see actors do it. Like, you'll have an actor who's a relative no-name or whatever, and they star in some movie that has the potential to become a franchise. So, that first movie they make like pennies, right? And then the movie pops off, and we are gonna option it for a sequel and blah blah blah. Your agent has skillfully given you right of first refusal for the sequel and whatnot, and we don't want to entertain the idea of you not being involved with the sequel, so we're gonna pay you substantially more than what you made doing the first one. That's how a lot of actors in big franchises make their money. Like, they eat dick on the first one because they're nobodies.
Well, I mean, they do. It depends on, you're right. Nothing compared to, but they still make a decent amount of money.
No, and it's not like, I'm not talking like they're getting paid like $25
and they're and chicken wings or anything.
No,
they
they make money, but they don't make money.
Yeah.
Not until that second contract comes around. So that's kind of what I'm seeing this as, where it's like, okay, she was the voice in the first 2 games, and now that there's like this hotly anticipated third in this title that's made, as she noted herself, millions of dollars, tens of millions of dollars, even more than that. She wants the Hollywood treatment, I guess. She wants the like, I did the first 2 games for friendly amounts of money, and I think I deserve, as the face of the voice of the franchise, that has sold a multitude of copies all around the world. I think I deserve a little bit more than that, which I'm 1,000% on board with. But let's get to the rest of this story. Let me tilt this microphone a little bit. A pay dispute between the creator of a critically acclaimed video game series and its star voice actor reignited a long-simmering debate over wages in the industry. As is often the case in these sorts of disagreements, the details surrounding negotiations and casting for the upcoming game, Bayonetta 3, are more complicated than what has been portrayed publicly. The feud spilled out into the open over the weekend when Hellena Taylor, the star of the first 2 Bayonetta games, said she would not appear in the next iteration, set to be released for the Nintendo Switch on October 28th. She posted a series of videos Saturday on Twitter accusing Nintendo Co. and the game's developer, PlatinumGames, of offering her a total of $4,000 to reprise her role. She said she rejected the lowball offer and asked fans to refrain from buying the game. And, we saw her video there, so we already heard the quote from her words.
Like, she's got an agent and shit, too. I mean, like, if they're truly saying $4,000, for her, that's actually probably even less. It's like maybe $3,200,
yeah.
You know what I mean, after taxes and shit, too. She might have a manager and an agent, depending on, how what her acting situation is like. Yeah.
The videos went viral, racking up more than 9.5 million views on Twitter. Taylor's story touched a nerve among gamers. Voice actors are beloved by fans, but fail to command anywhere close to what a Hollywood actor makes. Game actors have long complained of being underpaid and underappreciated. Some have said they receive little information about their roles until they show up in the recording booth. Yes, can confirm on that.
Yeah.
The industry operates in such clandestine ways that actors sometimes don't even know what games they're recording lines for until it's released. The tensions last crested during the contract negotiations in 2016 when the union representing many voice actors, the Screen Actors Guild, American Federation of AFTRA television and radio artists, orchestrated a strike that lasted nearly a year. One of the sticking points was residuals, meaning compensation for actors when sales of a game outperforms expectations. Voice actors gave up that fight in exchange for receiving bonuses based on number of sessions they work.
That was dumb.
Yeah, that was dumb. I mean, residuals in the game industry it's borderline unheard of in general.
They got nothing. The thing that's the problem, because the thing is, the game industry, it's just a completely different industry than the film industry. Because the thing is, if SAG goes on strike against the film. They can pull in the DGA, they can pull in the WGA, they can pull in, the local, IATSE, they can pull all these guys, and they can set it up to where, like, if you get really afoul of SAG, man, you can
shut down a production.
Fucking done.
You can shut down a production.
I mean? Yeah.
And, like, the voice actors can't pull in, like, the fucking Unity scripters of America.
Well, no, the thing is, the game industry is I mean, half these studios are staffed with, like, kids fresh out of coding school. I just want to work in games. They haven't been turned to crap yet. They're working 80-hour weeks. They're being treated like hot garbage anyway. You know what I mean? And that's like a good portion of their workforce. The idea of a union having any power over, it's like, well, we're gonna not allow you to use our talent. It's like, okay, well, we'll just use AI then, or we'll hire high school drama kids, or whatever it is. We'll find somebody. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's that. What are you gonna do when you're dealing with people like that? I guess this is it.
In the case of Bayonetta 3, the developer appeared to be determined to rehire Taylor, according to two people familiar with it. These are the updates. In the case of Bayonetta 3, the developer appeared to be determined to hire Taylor, according to two people familiar with the negotiations, as well as documentation reviewed by Bloomberg. Here's where their accounts differ. PlatinumGames sought to hire Taylor for at least 5 sessions, each paying $3,000 to $4,000 for 4 hours in the studio, said the people who asked not to be identified because they aren't authorized to discuss private contract negotiations. That would make the total for the game at least $15,000. In response, they said Taylor asked for a 6-figure sum as well as residuals on the game. Platinum declined, and following lengthy negotiations, took auditions for a new actor. Platinum later offered Taylor a cameo in the game for the fee of 1 session, which she turned down, the people said. So, it sounds like...
In an email, Taylor described this account as an absolute lie and said Platinum was trying to save their ass and the game. She said she stood by everything she said in the video. I'd like to put this bloody... So, this is the deal. I would imagine that they offered her between $3,000 and $4,000 a session, and she knows from doing the previous games that it was going to be about 1 session, and Platinum was like, oh no, it was going to be probably 3 or 4 sessions.
Yeah.
But they're saying that now. You know what I mean? And who knows how many sessions it would have actually been.
Yeah, like she probably recorded like those earlier games in 1 session.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's like, because the thing is, it seems like there's a lot of VO in a game. If it's like The Witcher, sure, there's a ton of VO.
You're doing multiple sessions for The Witcher.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I don't know how much VO would be in Bayonetta, but I mean, if the person's good, you can blow through a lot of VO in 4 hours, dude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? 4 hours is a long time. And so there's a good possibility that, she's thinking, dude, I did 1 session for Bayonetta 1 and Bayonetta 2. You guys are offering me $35,000 to $4,000 for a session. That's all you're offering me. And then they're basically saying, they see it as like, we're not lying. They're like, well, we will
do $4,000 a session.
Yeah, per session. We've looked at the demands and we thought it might be more than 1 session. You could make $15,000. 6 figures to me at this point seems about right. I don't know. I mean, getting a residual on the game is
that's a fool's errand.
That's never going to happen in the gaming industry.
There's really typically only like one type of person in the game industry that gets residuals on game sales, and that's like the company founder.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, it's just, I mean, they could have, if they wanted to, they could have said, I imagine probably that they either asked for both those things and the idea that they might take less and get the other, you know what I mean? So she's like, I'll do it for $30K, and then you give me residuals in the game that we can come up with, or you can pay me $115,000 right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I mean, for instance, like a lot of composers that work on AAA games, and this is back in 2006.
You've done sessions for some games, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So you have firsthand experience with what VO sessions in gaming looks like.
Yeah, let's see. I did, what was it, Infinite Undiscovery, or not, the Bravely Default, one of those games where the guy was in town, and it was just pickup lines. But, I mean, they added some dialogue or something. But we did probably 20 lines or 30 lines or something like that, maybe. And we were only in the studio for, like, maybe an hour.
Yeah.
Tops. I mean, it probably wasn't even that. It probably was more like 30 minutes, and then I spent another 30 minutes kind of editing what we did and, you know, out the door. But I'm just saying that like composers back in 2006, supposedly on a AAA title, a decently known game composer would get like $1,000 a minute. You know what I mean, for game music, which depending on the game could easily, you know, approach $100,000.
Yeah.
And you know, it's like I would say that the person that's like the lead in your game that's going to be doing, you know, like I don't think that's. I mean, I don't know where in six figures she asked for, but probably like I would say in the low 100s.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I would venture maybe 120.
Yeah, I can't imagine that she would be that out of whack, and you know, I think that would be a reasonable amount for a game that's done that well. That she's already done the voice for the girl 2 times before, and you know,
yeah,
it's not like it's gonna make her rich. I mean, she's gonna give a bunch of that to her agent, and then it's gonna end up being
and then taxes.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is they've obviously got the money. That's the thing that's so fucking stupid. I mean, they've made a ton of money on the game,
and they aim to make more on this one. So
yeah.
like it's a weird thing for them to like. It's a weird fight to pick.
And actually, what really sucks is that, you know, when they hired, I mean, she could theoretically sue them because you know that when they hired a voice talent, they hired someone that sounded like her. Yeah. You know what I mean? They want someone. They probably went and found a British chick that sounded almost exactly like her, and they used her performance as essentially a getting off point for who they were next going to find, which is in its own way essentially a violation of, you know, her personal copyright on her own work. Because the thing is that like it happens a lot in you know, sound when you're doing sound alikes and all that kind of stuff. Like if you record, like there's a really famous story with Tom Waits where they approached him, they wanted to use Tom Waits, they wanted to use one of his songs in a commercial, and he was like, no, fuck off. And they were like, okay, so they went and they hired a composer, whatever, and they made a song, and they hired a singer that sounded like Tom Waits. And he was like, here's the thing. This guy sounds like me. Whether you have me or whether you have a guy that sounds like me, when a reasonable person listens to this, they think this could be Tom Waits.
Yeah.
And no, I said no. You know what I mean? You can't use my style. You can't use the signature of my voice. I don't want to be a part of your stupid product. You know what I mean? And he won.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it's something similar here, and they'll probably be like, well, that's just the character. And it's like, nah. I mean, if they come out with a completely different voice, that would, or you know, another British chick with an obviously different voice.
At that point, like if they do mimic her voice and they say that's just the character, then that's even more strength to her cause that her performance has created that character.
Very much
so. And that is her value. You know? So yeah, and it would be interesting to see if they, like, I don't know, the game isn't out yet. We'll find out when the game comes out if she comes out sounding like.
Well, that's the thing too, and that's the thing that's like when people creators, these people with the money, like the exploiters, I guess, and it's like you know, when you hire Harrison Ford to be Han Solo, newsflash, Tom Brokaw, Harrison Ford is Han Solo. He's going to be Han Solo forever. You can hire a new guy, but it's not going to be the same.
Yeah.
And everyone's going to know that, and that, you know, that was an issue. And the new guy did his best, but you know, Han Solo is Harrison Ford. And the thing is that there's only one Harrison Ford, and if you want Han Solo in your thing, you're going to have to break your checkbook out to get Harrison Ford. Yeah. Back in the day, you know what I mean? And it's like, sometimes it's like that, you know? It's like you put this girl in the game, she did a great job, you had her back, the game was a success. It wasn't like it was a one-off game that no one cared about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They loved it, they loved her, you made another one, it was even bigger, she was great. And now it's 3, and you got to break your checkbook out and try to figure out you got to, you know, come to it. Unless you want to just go in a completely different direction, which is
a totally different and valid thing. Like, that's a valid thing too. One thing that I heard posited, which, you know, I think could be a possibility too, is that, you know, they just didn't want to use her anymore in general. Like, I don't know, for whatever reason. But it's possible she may have had a contract clause with a right of first refusal. And so they forced her hand in refusing so that they could move away from her contractually.
By paying so little?
By offering so little money that they knew she would turn it down.
I don't think that they would. I don't buy that.
You don't buy that?
I don't. Usually, as for my instance, a client like that would never box themselves into a corner with a talent. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so it is a franchise that they have experience working with her on in at least 2 other iterations of it. So I'm not really for certain what the details on her contract were, but I mean, it could be that they. I mean, it's the game industry. It could very easily be that they box themselves in.
You know, but I just because usually they err on the other side of that. You know what I'm saying? Because they want to be able to move around, and you know, they want to be able to offer $3,000 and not have to, you know, negotiate with her if they don't have to. I mean, I'd just be really surprised if that was the deal. Usually, a right of first refusal is like on the client side. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, not on the talent side. But you know, I mean, who knows? I mean, maybe they could have used that to get her to take less in previous games, you know. But I still don't buy it. I think that it's probably, you know, either, you know, I think it's probably closer to just the fact that they offered her, you know, it's a good session fee, you know, come in, do your thing. And she's like, I'd like to get more money now because this game is so popular. And they're like, well, I mean, in honesty, we could replace you. You're not the only British girl in the world. You know what I mean? We can find another British girl with kind of a lowish voice, and, you know, it's all the same to us. And that's essentially what they did. And then pretty soon, what'll end up happening is AI will be doing all this. So, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a little ways off. You can hear it in the YouTube videos and stuff, but I guarantee you that the absolute microsecond it's remotely believable, you know, the game industry will be all over it. You know what I mean?
If there's any industry that will be over that,
they don't like dealing with this. The game industry hates singular talent. Can't stand it. You know what I mean?
Hey everybody, thanks for watching the video. If you liked what you just saw, hit the like. If you want to see more, hit subscribe. I'd appreciate it if you did both. They would be very good for the channel and help me build the community here. If you have any kind of comments or opinions or anything like that, by all means drop them in the comments section below. I like engaging with y'all, want to do more of that, so thank you again and see you next time.